a playful, energetic little puppy, was loved by everyone in the family. His tiny paws scampered around the house, creating a whirlwind of joy. Every day was filled with playtime and endless affection. Max had been with the family ever since he was a little pup, and he had formed a special bond with each family member. His owner, a young girl named Emma, loved him the most. They shared everything, from adventures to bedtime cuddles. They were inseparable. One day, while chasing a butterfly in the backyard, Max ran too fast and was suddenly hit by a car speeding through the neighborhood. It happened so quickly. Max was in pain and couldn't see where he was going. He had been blinded by the accident, and the doctor confirmed that his vision would never return. The family was devastated, and Emma was heartbroken. She couldn't understand how something so tragic could happen to her best friend. Emma's parents, deeply concerned about Max's future, felt it was best to leave him at a dog shelter. They believed it would be better for Max, considering his blindness, and they couldn't handle the emotional toll of seeing him struggle every day. Emma cried endlessly, begging her parents not to leave him. "He's part of our family," she cried. But her parents made the difficult decision to take him to an animal shelter, thinking it was the best choice for everyone. As they drove to the shelter, Emma sat in silence, holding Max's paw, and promised him that she would visit him every day. But the moment they arrived at the shelter, everything changed. Emma's parents left Max there, telling him goodbye with heavy hearts, and Emma felt a part of her soul shatter as they walked away. Max had to adjust to his new life at the shelter, and it was not easy. The shelter was full of barking dogs, some happy, some sad, but MEX was the most lonely of them all. The sound of other dogs playing, the smell of fresh food, the comforting voices of kind shelter workers, none of it could replace the love he had once felt from Emma and her family. He spent the next few weeks in complete isolation, curled up in his corner of the shelter. Every day, he would listen to the familiar sounds of people walking by, hoping, just hoping, one day he would hear Emma's voice again. But days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still no sign of her. Max began to feel forgotten. As time passed, Max grew older, and the memories of his family began to fade. The shelter workers noticed how he would no longer react with excitement or run to the door at the sound of footsteps. They saw his health deteriorating due to loneliness and depression. The once playful and energetic puppy now lay still, with his eyes searching for something, someone. Meanwhile, Emma's family tried to move on. They felt a pang of guilt whenever they thought of MEX, but tried not to dwell on it. Emma had started school, and her parents had their own busy lives. Still, Emma would sometimes visit the shelter when she could, but it was never the same. MEX had changed. He seemed distant and unrecognizable, and Emma's heart broke even more when she realized he no longer remembered her as he once had. One day, after years of visiting him at the shelter, Emma couldn't bear the distance between them any longer. She needed to know if there was any spark of recognition left in MEX. On the day of her visit, as she called his name, something happened. Max's ears perked up, and for a split second, his eyes seemed to focus. Slowly, he turned toward her, and his tail gave the smallest of wags. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? After all these years, did Max still remember her? She rushed toward him, kneeling down to hold his head. "Max, it's me, Emma. I've missed you so much," she whispered through her tears. Max's tail wagged slightly, and in that moment, Emma realized that no matter how much time had passed, the bond between them hadn't truly broken. Max recognized her. The love they shared had never faded. Emma immediately ran to the shelter workers, asking if she could take MEX home. She begged her parents to allow him back into their family, saying she would take care of him and ensure he was never alone again. After much discussion and hesitation, Emma's parents agreed. They realized how much Max had meant to their daughter and how much they missed him. The shelter workers were also reluctant to let Max go, as they had grown fond of him, but they could see how much it would mean for Emma to have him back. The following week, Emma brought Max back home. It wasn't easy at first. Max was still adjusting to his blindness, and Emma's family had to make a lot of changes to accommodate him. But they were willing to do whatever it took. Slowly, Max started to remember his old routine, and Emma was right there, guiding him every step of the way. Max began to regain the confidence he had lost over the years. He was still blind, but Emma and her family were there to guide him, just as they had been before. They created a safe space for him in the house, filled with soft beds, toys, and most importantly, love. Slowly but surely, Max started to trust again, to feel the warmth of his family's love. His wagging tail became more frequent, and the sound of his little paws running through the house brought joy to everyone once again. As months passed, Max grew older, but his loyalty never wavered. His bond with Emma was unbreakable, and he remained the most loyal dog anyone could ask for. He became her protector, always staying by her side, guiding her when she felt lost, and offering his quiet companionship whenever she needed it. Years passed, and Max grew frail with age. He could no longer run like he used to, and his health began to decline. Emma, now a young woman, knew that MEX's time was drawing near. She held him close every night, whispering how much she loved him and how grateful she was for every moment they had shared. One quiet evening, Max lay beside Emma as she softly stroked his fur. He had been the most loyal companion she could ever ask for, and as his breathing slowed, she felt a deep sense of peace. In that moment, Emma understood that Max had given her more than just love. He had given her a lesson in loyalty and unconditional love. As Max peacefully passed away in Emma's arms, a tear slid down her cheek, but it was not one of sadness. It was a tear of gratitude for the years of love, devotion, and companionship Max had given her. His loyalty had remained unwavering, even when the world had forgotten him. And now, as he crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, Emma knew that their bond would never die.